How's it going, Rams? Happy Valentine's Day and welcome back to another week of CTV Sports. I'm Mike Walsh.
And I'm Leah Cackowski, and here are your top stories for the week.
CSU softball open season play this weekend. See how the Rams fared in the New Mexico State Invitational.
It's redemption time for CSU men's basketball. Hear what needs to change after the Rams' blowout loss to the Broncos in round 1.
And finally, we'll bring you hot or not on Valentine's Day. Well, not literally. Don't worry, it's not what you're thinking.
All of that and more on CTV Sports, which starts right now.
We'll tip things off with some CSU women's hoops who, despite having a rough end to the month of January, have now won 4 straight games. The most recent coming against Fresno State this past Saturday, where the Rams took down the not-so-mighty Bulldogs 61-54. And before we get into the stats, let's check out some of the best plays from the green and gold that made the win possible. So we start off here with McKenna Hofschild with the dime to the corner to Sydney Meck. And we're going to see here again to Sydney Renzik with another 3. McKenna Hofschild was dealing today. Another one on this fast break play to Callie Clark. And then again we're seeing McKenna Hofschild, but this time shooting with these 2 nice fadeaways. But it ended up not being McKenna Hofschild who played hero in this one, as we saw again Renzik with the big 3, and then finally we saw Kaylin Crocker with this huge and 1 to put this one out of reach. But for the Rams, it wasn't just the highlights that looked good for them, as they dominated in the box score as well. Even though neither team lit it up offensively, the Rams still posted some quality numbers, besting the Bulldogs in all 3 shooting splits and both steals and blocks. However, Fresno State did corral more rebounds and a mere 2 more dimes. But in the end, the more efficient and better defensive team on paper was the winner. And I almost forgot that now makes 10 straight losses for the Bulldogs. Yikes. So a pretty easy opponent last Saturday for that 4th straight win. But Leah, what can you tell us about the team in the way of a 5th?
Well, Mike, I'm super encouraged by that win. But let me say, CSU's next fight against the Aztecs won't be easy in the slightest. This matchup is super important because both are tied for 2nd in the conference, and a win would really solidify that spot. Every time our Rams step foot on the court going forward matters a whole lot, especially with tournament play on the horizon. Absolutely no one should be taken for granted at this point, so how are the Aztecs looking? Let's see. While yes, I can talk about how CSU annihilated SDSU last time around, it doesn't really matter anymore because the Aztecs are 6-2 in their last 8 appearances, defeating some pretty big names like Wyoming and Boise State. And they have a few precedent players to help them do so. You'll learn that San Diego State is a fairly easy squad to figure out. The Aztecs have 3 main threats in the backcourt: Sophia Ramos, Asia Vinger, and Mercedes Staples. They provide a bulk of the scoring and have a knack for the 3-ball. Forwards Yummy Morris, yes, that is what they call her, and Kim Viva Lobos do most of the damage inside. Each player has a role and they stick to it. So yeah, not super hard to game plan. That said, even with the multiple weapons pushing their success over the past month or so, SDSU doesn't have a McKenna Hofschild, just saying. In any case, I'm curious to see how the programs stack up side by side. And it's pretty close, but Colorado State looks to be the overall stronger unit. Shooting 3s becomes much easier, and the Rams definitely score more in general. With 2 great programs like this, efficiency is going to be the deal breaker. And well, right now that's in CSU's favor. I'm super hyped for this game. The Rams have been such a joy to watch this season, and nothing feels better than a competitive conference dub. So hopefully the green and gold can pull it off come Thursday, But Mike, that's enough basketball for the time being. I heard that tennis is in full swing. Is that true?
Yes, indeed it is, Leah, but for that group, it wasn't a sunny West Coast trip. Instead, CSU tilled the lands of Lincoln for a weekend doubleheader. At the top of the cornstalk was host Nebraska, followed by South Dakota 19 hours later. Now, with all due respect to South Dakota, the main event was the former on Friday. And this is because the Cornhuskers and Rams date all the way back to 1996, playing in consecutive years since then, and yet Colorado State has never won. That was until Friday. CSU shook the Huskers, snapping the program's two-decade-plus skid to the tune of a 7-0 final. The Rams won the doubles point while pulling away quite emphatically in singles. The end cap against South Dakota plowed a similar result, with the Rams beating the Coyotes 4-0. The bushel of victories extends CSU's dual streak to 3, a nice path entering this weekend's affair with BYU. And the Rams will return home for that one, an occurrence they shouldn't take lightly because after Saturday, CSU won't be back in Fort Collins until March 19th. So yeah, let's hope our farewell is on the heels of another dub. And speaking of extended visits away, Leah, how did softball do in its season opener?
Man, it was a roller coaster of a weekend for sure, but a very promising one. It's hard for any club to get out there again for the first time, let alone 5 games in 3 days. I'll start with the New Mexico State split. The Rams first meet the Aggies on Friday, but came up short with a final score of 7-4. That setback was quickly forgotten, though, as they were able to bounce back the following day. This was due to bomb squad Peyton Allen and Danielle Cerna launching back-to-back clutch homers late in the 6th inning to get them on the board and seal the deal. But that wasn't anywhere near the chaos that occurred, because Bradley was a completely different story, a true representation of both teams shaking off the dust from the offseason. To say these run totals are lopsided is an understatement. Friday was your typical low-scoring affair, but then we get to Saturday. I don't know what they were serving in the hotel breakfast, but it allowed the Rams to force a 5-inning run rule. Wow. The Braves avoided the sweep on Sunday, though, showing a complete 7-inning effort to inch past the Rams 9-8. Again, the Rams had a very competitive weekend in New Mexico, and there were definitely some players who deserve a certain amount of the credit. Hitters Molly Gates and Haley Smith, as well as pitcher Sydney Hornbuckle, were a few that stood out. I'm really excited for softball to be back. The Rams took the number 4 spot in the preseason conference rankings, a significant improvement from last year. And now they travel to California for the Cal Baptist Classic this weekend. I really hope they can keep this momentum going. But enough in the sun. Mike, take us back indoors.
You've got it, Leah, and let's take a dip in the pool while we're at it. Although the Denver First Chance meet wasn't worthy of note for much, it was for one swimmer. Colorado State freshman Leah O'Connor took full advantage of what it had to offer, posting a trio of personal bests in 4 races covering the 2 days. O'Connor placed second in both the 100 and 200 meter freestyles. She also finished 3rd in the 50 free and 5th in the 100 butterfly. Her 57:21 mark in that race, by the way, was her personal best in more than 2 years. The flurry of events served as a solid launching point for next season. The Florida native will not be traveling to the Lone Star State with the team tomorrow, but that shouldn't discourage Ram fans, as we can still expect great things from the Mountain West Championships in Houston. But now let's head back to the surface. Leah, what do you have on track?
Well, Mike, the Rams separated to compete on different ends of the country this past weekend. Some hiked up to Seattle while others rode down to Albuquerque. And the pair of events was filled with plenty of action on both days. However, we only have so much time on Tuesday nights, so I'm going to try and condense it as much as I can. We began on Friday, where we saw history at work in the Husky Invitational. Colorado State's distant runners put together a remarkable night, with Emily Chaston leading it off with a record-breaking run in the women's 3K. The senior crossed the line at 9 minutes and 18 seconds, breaking the school record by 9 ticks. Meanwhile, 5th-year senior Sarah Carter broke a school record of her own in the women's 5K, clocking at a faster time than teammate Annabelle Stafford's previous record by over 20 seconds. On the men's side, Mason Brown and Michael Mooney also had stellar performances in Washington. Down south, though, the Rams saw the highest level of competition yet, with schools all across the western half. And that's where we head for Saturday's recap. The 3 Rams recorded new season bests in the men's 200 meter. Cole Norman, Tom Willems, and Carson Bruns. Willems, for his part, continued an impressive stretch in the 400 meter, where his 46-86 score moved top 3 in the Mountain West. The same applied to sophomore Jazara Davis, whose bid in the 60-meter hurdle planted top 3 as well. And trust me, there was so much more. Try 32 records, 27 of them personal. Regardless, all eyes for the Rams are now on the indoor Mountain West Championships in just under 2 weeks. CSU will finalize its entry list before the women's team aims to defend its title from a season ago. And well, Rams, we're going to take a break.
But when we come back, you thought we forgot about men's basketball, didn't you? Well, fear not, because Leah and I will give you a breakdown of the Rams' upcoming battle with Boise State.
Living with someone you don't know on the other side of the wall is hard, especially if you don't know how to be a good roommate. The first thing that you'll want to do to be a good roommate is make sure that you always stay quiet. Be considerate of others when using common spaces and appliances.
Hey buddy, what you doing?
I'm just gonna need like 40 minutes. Be respectful of your roommate's privacy. Ugh, my bad. Finally, make sure that you clean up after yourself. Oh, fresh toothbrush.
Have you seen my toothbrush?
Follow these tips to get along with your roommates and your landlord.
Welcome back from the break, Rams. Now, Leah, we saw Boise State trample CSU in their previous meeting, 21 points to be exact. But this time, the Rams get the Broncos at Moby.
That's right, Mike, but they haven't won on their home floor in 38 days. What will need to change for that to happen? Let's view the tapes. Okay, so we start off in the first half right now, and it looks like they're in a man-to-man zone. So Patrick Cartier is at the top of the paint right now, and it kind of gets a little confusing because you can see 23 looks to be open, but he gets confused with the cut, and 2 ends up being able to make the easy layup. And then we fast forward kind of to the end of the first half right here. They're definitely a lot more spread out. Isaiah Rivera and Jalen Lake kind of focusing their attention to the other side of the court, but in reality, we have a guy down low, and number 11 is able to be right there for the easy pass and open 3, when in reality, they just didn't know who they needed to guard. So right here, he gets the pass and just ends up being able to make the easy 3.
Now, keeping it in the first half, we saw another play just like this, but we saw Stevens originally trailing here and Palmer providing no help off of the screen. But we also see Rivera and Moores that could have helped on the inside, but at the end, we see the Boise State player just driving an easy layup. But now going into the second half, we see another play here where we have a defender that just goes too early, goes too far, and he leaves his defender wide open on that arc. And it's just an easy pass and an easy 3 for Boise State. And then we see another one here as we have a lot of defenders in the paint, but we just don't have anyone looking at number 2 as he's going to drive down the baseline here and get open for an easy layup that the Rams just didn't see.
And I mean, trend of the night right now, we are at the end of the second half. The score is just out of hand at this point. They're trying to double at the top of the key right now, but Degenhart, number 2, has just been the absolute killer of the night. I mean, he's right at the paint. He is absolutely wide open and is able to take the easy layup. I mean, at this point, they kind of have given up, and no one's even trying to guard him, and it was just way too easy for him. And okay, while we could dissect the Rams play all night, we have a feature to bring your way.
CTV feature reporter Dylan Heinrich will join us for a sneak peek into CSU's rowing team, and it only happens right here on CTV Sports.
Worried about your friend but don't know how to reach out?
You could say how are you or get a fake tattoo. You could ask with an app if it works for you. You could chat with them in VR. It's all good if you think you should check in. Yeah, you should. Whatever gets you talking.
Reach out to a friend about their mental health.
Whatever gets you talking.
Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
Welcome back from the break, Rams. Now, I want you to close your eyes and imagine this. You're on a long boat moving down a slow, peaceful river, gliding underneath a line of beautiful trees, oaks perhaps, making you come and go out of the shadows like Rivendell in The Lord of the Rings. That pretty much sums up the experiences of CSU's rowing.
No, Mike. That is not accurate at all. Here to give you a real picture is Dylan Heinrich. Dylan, take it away.
Thanks, guys. One of the many Colorado State club sports currently operating is the Crew Team. I got a chance to speak with them to see how they stay in shape over these winter months.
So today we're going to do a 4K, 3K, 2K, 1K.
With Horseshoe Reservoir frozen over, the CSU Crew Team is currently unable to row on the water.
So right now we're in our winter season, and that's from late November till mid-March.
But the team stays plenty busy as they continue to put in work in the off-season.
It's going to be 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. Monday, Wednesday we are in the field house, and we do practice on the rowing machine from like 7 to 8:30 p.m. usually. And then Tuesday, Thursday we are at CrossFit down on College Avenue, and that's from like 7:20 to 8:20.
It's no secret that the team is ecstatic to get back on the water, even if it comes with a whole new set of challenges.
We're coming up into our spring season, which has been March through the end of the school year. It's usually 4:30 to 7:30-ish in the morning up on Horseshoe Reservoir. It's definitely brutal. I've gotten used to it. I wake up pretty early in general anyway. It's not always fun to get out in the dark, cold mornings, and it's kind of a drive to get up there. But I have a good time. A lot of people have a good time. We're kind of all suffering together, I guess you could say.
Whether it's on land or in a boat, rowing is one of the most difficult sports due to its unique combination of strength and endurance.
I don't think people really understand that rowing is a huge endurance sport. Like, sure, there's a strength aspect, there's a cardio aspect, but you have to be going for, I think our shortest race is about 8 minutes, and our longest race is upwards of 30 or 40. So, like, you have to be able to have huge endurance, and you don't have an option to stop. So it really builds a lot of that mental fortitude, and it's kind of a mental sport.
The biggest strength of rowing isn't the members' muscles, but instead their camaraderie and strength of mind.
Since we aren't like a D1 team or whatever, and we don't have as much pressure on us, we get along really well. There's not a lot of pressure to be like better than everybody else. We really encourage that everybody works together and that we all like improve together.
The team will continue to prepare to hit the water when Horseshoe thaws in early spring. To learn more about the Crew Team, check out their website or at Colo State Crew on Instagram or TikTok. Mike and Leah, back to you.
And well, Rams, we've reached our final break.
But stick around, because we have a Valentine's Day special coming up in Hot or Not. You certainly won't want to miss it.
When you look at the number of disasters in the U.S., chances are every area will deal with some kind of emergency in the next decade. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Welcome back from the break, Rams. Now, as we all know, it's Valentine's Day. And in these days, an increasing number of people are finding their Valentines through online dating, such as Tinder. If you're not familiar with Tinder, users can either swipe right to like or swipe left to dislike another user's profile. None of us have experience in the field, but tonight on Hot or Not, we're going to apply our own spin of that concept. Each of us will either swipe right to agree or swipe left to disagree with a certain sports statement. So without further ado, let's get started. Our first prompt is the following. CSU basketball has bandwagon fans, yes or no?
I'll start us off. I do think CSU does have some bandwagon fans just because I've only been here for 2 years. But the games I've seen them have a good record, there's people at the games. The games I see them have a bad record, maybe on a losing streak, there's really no one at the game. There's really a lot of people that just skip out or are not winning. So I think there's a lot of bandwagon fans on this campus.
I'm going to have to agree. I'm swiping right on that one because last year we almost had a sold-out crowd, I feel like, for at least the second half of the season.
Definitely.
And even coming up in like earlier conference play, it was crickets. And I mean, yes, the Rams haven't been as good per se, people still need to come out and support. So it's definitely been frustrating, but I agree. I think people have been really, really bandwagon fans.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the black sheep here. I'm going to actually disagree. I would say that we do not have bandwagon fans. I would say we have people who like good basketball. And right now we're not seeing a lot of good basketball on the CSU campus, and so I don't think that's bandwagoning. I think that's just not wanting to support a lackluster team.
Yeah, I'll say one thing though. When we have fans, they're good. I mean, we are loud in those stadiums. You can feel the energy in all of those stadiums. So when they're there, are some good fans.
Agreed. I mean, we haven't even seen a court storming yet. Maybe.
No,
I mean,
we need one.
We need one.
We need a big win.
We
here.
are in a dire need of a court storm. But moving on, we're going to stick with our college hoops. Our next item is this: a Mountain West team will make the Sweet 16 in March Madness this year. Mike, what do you think?
I do think there are going to be some Mountain West teams making the tournament. I just don't think there are any that can win that many games to make it to the Sweet 16. I think SDSU has the best chance, but I just don't think they're going to do it. So I don't think any teams are going to go to the Sweet 16 from the Mountain West.
I agree with you. Well, I guess swiping left,
Yeah,
disagreeing with the prompt. Yeah, I think we might see a little bit of a repeat of last year if teams do end up making it. It's just Mountain West historically teams don't really get that far. They didn't do good last year, and again, we've been here for 2 years, just kind of seeing. I think we're going to see a little bit of that repetition. They're great programs. They're great teams that I think will make the tournament, but Sweet 16 to me is a little bit of a reach.
They're good in the Mountain West.
Yes, great in the Mountain West, but SEC school, I don't know. Yeah.
I think I'm going to disagree here as well. The new guys got a couple new takes. So I would say that this is probably the deepest the Mountain West has been in a while, and I would say, like you mentioned earlier, SDSU, San Diego State, they are a very talented program. And I mean, anything can happen in March, and I think that is totally possible that one team could just pull out 2 wins easy enough.
I do agree with you. Anything can happen in March. Any upset can happen, but I just can't see any of them going that far in the tournament.
Maybe CSU will shock us, win the Mountain West tournament,
West.
win the whole March. I don't know.
Crazier things have happened.
Crazier things have happened. And then next up, we come to CSU football. Now, when the campus stadium project was released a little under a decade ago, it sparked outrage from locals, mainly because of financial concerns. 9 years later, and CSU has only had 1 winning season in its new place. So now we reflect on the following statement. Building Canvas Stadium was a bad investment. Mike, take it away.
I know we've only had 1 winning season. I know it's not been good so far, but I think that's the sign of a good program. Is you put the money into it, you put the nice stadiums, the state-of-the-art stadiums, the state-of-the-art stuff. I think that they're building a culture that's going to see some wins soon, so I don't think it was a mistake building it.
I completely agree with you. I'm swiping right on this question. Swiping left. I'm sorry. Disagree with the question, agreeing with you. I think, any new facility, stadium, that is going to eventually get recruits. Like, they just haven't really taken advantage of those facilities yet. And yes, whilst, there was a lot of history at the old stadium, it's just people haven't taken advantage of this one yet. And I think it's been a slow start, but I think in the next coming years, it's really going to be an amazing investment.
Definitely. What do you think?
I'm going to agree with you two here, yeah.
Oh, finally.
I know, I'm on base apparently, and so I would say that this has been going to be a great investment for CSU. While historically the football team has some great, Canvas Stadium is a great environment. It's just absolutely had some great events in the past, and it's already paying off. CSU had the 2nd best recruiting class in the Mountain West this year, and so you can feel that the wins are coming. It's only a matter of time.
I think we also started off with some shaky, coaching, management, but I think we got a good coach now. I think we got good players now. I think the culture is changing for sure.
I think Jay Norvell really will take, this to the next level. We just obviously had a few coaches that we won't talk about that did not do so hot. And lastly, we have to get to the game from last Sunday. We all know about the holding call at the end, so our last prompt is: the Philadelphia Eagles were robbed by the refs against the Kansas City Chiefs. Mike, I know you have strong feelings about this one.
I'm swiping left, so I'm disagreeing with the statement. I just don't think you can put an entire game on one call. I think the Eagles let up 4 touchdowns in the 4th quarter. I mean, how are you going to blame all 4 of those touchdowns on the refs? I just think in all sports, there's more to blame than one call, and you have to look at so many other things than just one call. I agree, it was a questionable call. I won't lie about that, but I don't think you can blame it all on that one call.
I am going to swipe right on this question, agree that they were robbed. There's a lot of things the stats going into this game, these teams were almost dead even. It was crazy. Like, we can all probably say this was one of the best Super Bowls we've watched in our lifetimes of just how competitive and well-matched these teams were. And with the game on the line, it is like at the end with barely any time left, I think it was a petty call. I think that, I mean, yes, there were a lot of other factors because I hate blaming games on refs too. I think, it's kind of excuse. But when it's the Super Bowl and it's that close, I think it was ridiculous.
I think it's a little touchy to call that there, but I still think you can't blame it all on that. I think you can be upset about that call. You can't blame it all on that call.
That's true.
To break this tie, I'm actually going to agree with Mike. I'm going to swipe left as well. I'm going to go no. I think that what we've been discussing is that it's, even though some would say it's soft, it's still a textbook holding call. He got him by the jersey. The DB even admitted to that it was a holding call. And even then, the Chiefs were in the red zone with less than 2 minutes to go. They had all the momentum. They were going to kick that field goal regardless. And while, even though it may have hurt our feelings that we didn't get one of the best Super Bowls in our lifetime, teams are up there to win games, and the Kansas City Chiefs did just that.
Yep. I mean, they won the game. I mean, they proved enough to win that game to me that I don't think you can put it on one call. So that's just my opinion.
I guess that's true. I'm excited for football. I mean, two of the greatest quarterbacks
that was a great game.
It was an amazing game. Yeah. I'm happy for Patrick Mahomes. If I was an Eagles fan, I don't think I would.
I also liked how the Eagles players and coaches handled it. They themselves said they didn't want to blame it on one call. They said there were many things they could have done to win that game. So I like how they did that. That was very classy.
Yeah, their approach was awesome. Respect to both teams, I think.
Agreed.
They handled the ending very well.
Yeah,
I think we'll see the Eagles back here soon. They're
for sure.
a very talented program, so they've got a Lombardi in their future.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts will get one.
Absolutely.
He's absolutely going to get one. I think so. And Ram fans, that's all the sports action we have for you tonight. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for the first installment of CTV Geeks, as well as Thursday for Madeline's recap on Boise State. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay safe and have a great night.